I bought the cheapest Bugatti Veyron in the world, but there's one big problem with it. It's not the fact that it's in two pieces, it's because the gearbox is broken, and not even Bugatti can fix it.
We can't fix the box.
No.
We can't.
Picture this. You walk into a workshop, the lights flicker on, and in front of you sits one of the rarest hypercars on this planet, a Bugatti Veyron Mansory. Except this Bugatti is literally split in half, torn apart like an anatomy lesson. Now imagine paying £900,000 for that. That is exactly what Mark McCann did. He sold every car he loved, his NSX, his M3, his rare RS 200, and gambled it all on a broken dream.
After making my dream of one day owning a Bugatti Veyron come true, it very quickly has turned into a nightmare.
A dream most people would have run from in disgust. But Mark did not run. Mark walked toward it. And the entire car world is now watching to see what happens next. The hunt for a ghost Bugatti. Before the workshop, before the split-in-half disaster, before the £900,000 deal, there was just a man and a quiet obsession. Mark McCann had been hunting a Bugatti for months. And when I say hunting, I mean every single Veyron that surfaced anywhere in the United Kingdom, Mark had already seen. He had studied their histories. He knew which ones had been repainted. He knew which ones had been crashed. He knew which sellers were being honest and which ones were hiding something behind a glossy listing photo.
Which does add a little bit of a headache, as some sellers will not want to be on camera. But one way or another, we're definitely going to do this together.
This was not a casual search. This was an obsession that consumed his evenings, his weekends, his free time. Every notification on his phone could be the one. But here is the cruel truth of the Bugatti world. The good ones, the genuinely clean ones with the right history, never stay on the market for long. They sell before you can even arrange a viewing. The ones Mark genuinely wanted were gone before he could move. And the ones still available were either outrageously expensive or had specifications that nobody loved, or histories that smelled wrong the moment you started asking questions. Months passed. Frustration grew. The dream started feeling further away, not closer. And then came the call. It was his friend Ali, the kind of call every collector waits for and never expects to actually receive. Mark, I found something off market. A Mansory Veyron.
We have found a Veyron that would be definitely to your liking.
One of the rarest spec Bugattis in existence. And it is cheap. Really cheap. Mark's heart skipped a beat. Because in the world of Bugatti, cheap and rare do not belong in the same sentence. A rare Mansory Veyron should be selling for £1.5, 2, sometimes £2.5 million. Mansory is the legendary German tuner that transforms already extreme cars into something even more aggressive. And a Mansory Veyron is one of the rarest birds in the entire collector world. So when somebody whispers cheap about a car like that, something is wrong, catastrophically wrong. Mark knew this. He understood the game. Cars do not become cheap by accident. There is always a reason. A blown engine, a bad history, a crash hidden behind fresh paint. And whatever it was going to be expensive to fix. But here is the dangerous thing about obsession. When you have been hunting something for months, when every listing has slipped through your fingers, when you have started to wonder if your dream is even possible, a phone call like that is intoxicating. The possibility of owning something so exclusive at a fraction of the price hit him like a wave. He knew there had to be a catch. He knew this could ruin him financially. But the price was too tempting to walk away from. The mystery was too compelling. He needed to know exactly how bad the worst-case scenario could get. And that meant making a phone call that would change everything. Inside Bugatti Manchester. If you're about to gamble £1 million on a broken Bugatti, you don't guess the worst case. You go and face it. That's exactly what Mark McCann did. He booked a private appointment at Bugatti Manchester, the official dealership.
We are off to Bugatti Manchester, and I think for them to take me seriously, I need to look like I can afford to buy one.
The place where dreams are priced like engineering reports. No speculation. No maybe. Just cold numbers, delivered with factory certainty. And Mark didn't walk in quietly. He showed up in a full black suit, almost funeral-like, paired with loud, attention-grabbing shoes. It wasn't random. It was intentional. A man preparing to bury his savings or resurrect a legend. Even the staff reportedly paused for a second. Because people don't usually walk into Bugatti dressed like they're attending their own financial execution. Then came the question, how much to replace a Bugatti Veyron gearbox? No hesitation from the representative. £300,000. Not for a new car, not for an engine, for a gearbox. And not even in Manchester, only at Bugatti's dedicated facility in London.
£300,000 gearbox, this has the potential to be a massive f***up. And the other stuff we haven't even considered yet.
Where specialist engineers handle the most complex components under strict manufacturer control. To understand why, you have to understand what sits inside a Veyron. A 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, engineered by Ricardo Engineering for Volkswagen Group, designed to handle over 1,000 horsepower and 1,250 newton-meters of torque, while shifting in milliseconds at speeds exceeding 400 kilometers per hour. It is not just a transmission, it is a precision-controlled survival system. That's why Bugatti restricts its servicing so heavily. One mistake at those loads doesn't mean a breakdown. It means destruction. Mark walked out of that dealership with that number burned into his mind. £300,000, worst-case scenario. But then came the second call, the one that changed the entire equation. Fonger Cars. One of the UK's most respected independent hypercar specialists, known for working on vehicles most garages refuse to touch. Their reputation isn't marketing, it's survival. They've rebuilt crashed Veyrons, sorted electrical nightmares in Paganis, and stepped in where official channels either refused or priced customers out. Mark asked the same question. Could it be fixed? The answer wasn't simple, but it was hopeful. Yes, unless the gearbox casing is structurally cracked beyond repair, we can rebuild it. It will take time. It will take precision. But it's possible. That changed everything. Because suddenly, this wasn't just a disaster. It was a calculated risk. And in parallel, Fonger was already working with another high-profile rebuild, the infamous Bugatti Veyron project, being documented by Matt Armstrong, where a factory-declared write-off was slowly being brought back to life.
Okay, I'm ready when you guys are. Yeah? Ready? Let's do it. Whoa!
By independent hands. That same ecosystem of specialists, salvagers, and obsessive engineers was now tied to Mark's gamble. But here's the catch. Mark hadn't even seen the car yet. Only photos, only warnings, only second-hand truth. And the real truth, the one that matters in car rebuilding, was waiting in a workshop, split in half, with a gearbox missing and a future still undecided. The Bugatti that shouldn't exist. There is a difference between being prepared for bad news and standing face-to-face with it. Mark walked into that workshop expecting something damaged. Yes, maybe a dusty Veyron, a missing bumper, a drained battery, a supercar that had been neglected, but still fundamentally intact. What he saw instead stopped him completely. The car wasn't just broken, it was split in two. A Bugatti Veyron Mansory, one of the rarest modern hypercars ever built, physically separated into two halves, like a technical cutaway model. The gearbox was gone entirely, leaving a hollow void where the drivetrain should have been. The W16 engine sat exposed to open air, disconnected from everything that once gave it purpose. Panels were scattered across the workshop floor like debris from a crash scene that no one cleaned up. Carbon fiber surfaces, once flawless, and worth more than most homes now dulled, scratched, and bruised. Inside, it was worse. Leather that once took weeks of handcrafting was damaged and dry. Dust had settled into every seam. Rubber seals had perished from years of neglect. This wasn't storage, it was abandonment. 3 years of silence had turned a multi-million-pound machine into something that looked closer to a forensic reconstruction than a running car. And then came the detail that changed the entire story. The previous workshop had told the owner the clutch packs were replaced, properly repaired, fully documented. That was a lie. When Fonger Cars inspected the gearbox remnants, they found metal fragments throughout the casing, tiny shards of failed components, evidence of internal destruction that had never been addressed. In automotive terms, this is catastrophic. These fragments don't just sit there, they circulate, destroy gear, engagement, and silently escalate damage every time the car is operated.
So the gearbox is definitely not there, is it? So that's been,
where that goes.
yeah, the gearbox has been removed, engine is in situ.
Whoever worked on it before hadn't repaired it. They had left it to die. But not everything was lost. Fonger's team had already begun the recovery process. Gear clusters were cleaned and partially rebuilt. Hydraulic components were prepared for reassembly. Critical machining work had been completed with surgical precision. The foundation of a rebuild existed, but only just. What remained were the small but brutal details: bolts, seals, clips. The components nobody notices until they fail. And in Bugatti world, even a single bolt can cost hundreds of pounds. Then came the deal. £850,000. Rejected? Up £1 million. Demand? £900,000. Final offer. Silence. Then, acceptance. Just like that, Mark McCann owned it, a split-in-half Mansory Veyron, part rebuilt, part disaster, entirely uncertain. The money was gone, the contract was signed, but the real question wasn't financial anymore. It was whether a car this far gone could ever truly come back to life, or whether Mark had just bought the most expensive, unfinished story in modern automotive history: the painful sacrifices. Buying a £900,000 broken Bugatti does not happen in a vacuum. That money has to come from somewhere. And for Mark McCann, it came from the place that hurt the most: his collection. The cars he had spent years building up, cars he had hunted just as obsessively as he was now hunting this Veyron. The cars that had become more than metal and rubber, they had become friends. They had become memories. One by one, they had to go. The NSX went first, his beloved Honda NSX, the car that proved a Japanese company could go toe-to-toe with Ferrari and win. Mark loved that car, and now sold, gone to a new owner, just like that. Then the M3. Years of memories baked into that car, countless miles. The kind of car where you remember exactly where you were when something funny happened. Gone. Then the RS 200. This one cut deepest. The Ford RS 200 is one of the rarest performance cars ever built. A Group B rally legend turned road monster. Mark had sworn to himself and to everyone around him that he would never sell that car. Some cars are forever. Some cars are not negotiable. He sold it. And finally, the Audi S1 rally car. A serious performance weapon. Pure, unfiltered driving joy. Gone, too. Every single sale was painful. Genuinely painful. Like saying goodbye to old friends who had been part of his life for years. The handshakes. The signed paperwork. The watching them disappear down the driveway one final time. Mark felt every single one of those goodbyes, and he kept signing the papers anyway. Because every car sold was another step closer to owning something truly legendary. United Worldwide Logistics arrived to collect the Veyron. Fully insured, professionally handled, secured properly despite being in pieces. They loaded a two-piece Bugatti onto a transport truck and drove it to Fonger's workshop where the real rebuild could finally begin. And then came the moment Mark had been both dreading and anticipating. He brought his partner Jane to the workshop for the big reveal. She had seen the pristine factory photos from years ago when this Veyron was whole and beautiful and magnificent. The shining bodywork, the aggressive Mansory styling. Reality hit her hard. Two disconnected halves, thick dust covering every surface, missing panels leaving the car looking exposed and naked. Complete silence where a thunderous W16 quad-turbo engine should have been roaring. Jane stood there, shocked, genuinely speechless. Her expression said everything that words could not. The unspoken question, what have we done? Mark, always the optimist, tried to lift the mood. It is still a Bugatti, Jane. We actually own a Bugatti. Jane remained unconvinced. She kept looking at the scattered pieces, trying desperately to picture the transformation that would need to happen. Trying to imagine this mechanical disaster becoming the beautiful machine it once was. It was the moment when reality meets dream. The moment when the person you love sees what you have actually done, and you have to find the words to make it make sense. But this story was about to grow far bigger than one man, one woman, and one broken Bugatti. Matt Armstrong versus Bugatti themselves. To understand why Mark's gamble feels so significant, you need to understand the man working in the same network of specialists, a man named Matt Armstrong. Matt Armstrong is a YouTube sensation, a British mechanic who built his channel by tackling the cars nobody else would touch. Crashed supercars, disasters declared unrepairable, wrecks that would make any normal person walk away in tears. Matt has built his entire reputation on one simple idea: impossibility is just another opinion. And right now, Matt is in the middle of the most controversial rebuild in modern automotive history. He is rebuilding a Bugatti Veyron, a catastrophically crashed Bugatti Veyron belonging to a man named Alex. Here is the part that shocks people every single time. Bugatti themselves looked at that Veyron, the official factory, the people who built it, the people who supposedly know it better than anyone on earth. They examined that wreck, and they refused to repair it. They declared it a complete write-off. End of story. Matt Armstrong looked at the same wreck and said, "Let me have it." And the entire automotive world has been watching ever since. Millions of viewers. Every single Instagram post he uploads gets analyzed in obsessive detail. Every YouTube video gets dissected frame by frame. Comment sections explode with theories, predictions, encouragement, criticism. The community has become invested in proving that one stubborn YouTuber can do what an entire factory could not. And now, Mark's broken Veyron has become part of that bigger story because the same network, the same specialists, the same parts pipeline, the same energy of refusing to accept impossibility is now working on Mark's car too. This is no longer just one man's gamble. This is now part of a movement. Inside Fonger's workshop, the rebuild grinds forward day by day. Every component being prepared with surgical precision. The gear clusters are sitting ready. The hydraulic blocks are prepped. The casings are clean and prepared for the careful installation that comes next. And then, the parts hunt begins for the smallest details. The bolts, the seals, the clips, the pieces nobody thinks about until they are missing. Bugatti bolts are insanely, almost criminally expensive. Even the smallest, most innocuous-looking fastener can cost hundreds of pounds, and they are not easy to find. Bugatti tightly controls its parts supply chain. Independent specialists have to go through unofficial channels, collector connections, salvage yards, network favors to find what they need. Mark visits the workshop almost daily now. He walks through every detail. He asks countless questions. Some days he leaves with hope. Some days he leaves with new worries. Some days a single seal or a single component throws the whole timeline into chaos. Every small bolt could mean the difference between catastrophic failure and absolute glory. Every rubber seal could be the thing that saves or destroys his 900,000-pound dream. The ultimate question hangs over everything. Will this Veyron roar back to life? A phoenix rising from the ashes of someone else's failure? Or will it remain forever a two-piece nightmare, an expensive reminder that some gambles do not pay off? The world is watching, the clock is ticking, and nobody on Earth knows yet how this story ends. Somewhere under cold workshop lights, a broken Bugatti still sits in pieces, waiting to become either a legendary resurrection or a catastrophic mistake. Mark McCann didn't just buy a wreck. He gambled everything on a machine most people would walk away from. No guarantees, no safety net, just pure obsession. And now, the entire automotive world is watching in silence. Because this isn't just about rebuilding a car. It's about defying limits, defying engineers, defying logic itself. When obsession meets impossibility, does it create greatness or end in ruin? If this story gave you chills, drop a like and tell me in the comments, would you sell everything for a broken Bugatti? And subscribe, because when this Veyron fires up, you do not want to miss it.